Kate Martin was on the verge of breaking after a storied run at Iowa alongside Caitlin Clark, where she helped transform the program into a national force. Her WNBA dream had turned into something unrecognizable. At the Las Vegas Aces, her minutes were sparse, her role unclear, and her confidence quietly eroding. Despite being known for her leadership and work ethic, she felt boxed in, reduced to a background presence in a system that didn't seem to value her.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
It was a phone call from Caitlin Clark that cracked the silence. Clark didn't sugarcoat things. She told Kate what no one else would. The problem wasn't her talent. It was where she was. That conversation didn't just give Kate clarity. It gave her the courage to walk away. Her move to the Golden State Valkyries wasn't a gamble. It was a calculated reset. In Golden State, Kate has found a team built on connection and mutual respect, where players are seen not just for their stats, but for their spirit and contributions to the team culture. No longer buried in the rotation, she's become a cornerstone in a franchise that values her style of play, tough, unselfish, and team first. Her journey is proof that sometimes the smartest play isn't staying loyal to a system. It's knowing when to leave it. This wasn't just a career pivot. It was an escape. A career rescue, if we're being honest. Kate Martin didn't leave the Las Vegas Aces because of some mid-season whim or overblown locker room drama. She left because her talent, her entire identity as a basketball player, was being slowly buried in plain sight. And the person who helped her realize it? Caitlin Clark. Yes, that Caitlin Clark. But let's rewind. Before the WNBA politics and the bench riding and the quiet frustration, Kate Martin was one of the most respected leaders in college basketball. At Iowa, she was a steady force alongside Caitlin Clark, helping transform the Hawkeyes into a national powerhouse and making women's college basketball must-watch TV. She wasn't the flashiest player on the court, but that wasn't her role. She was the glue, the one who hustled for every loose ball, who saw plays 2 passes ahead, who made Caitlin Clark's highlight reels possible, even if she wasn't in them. During Iowa's back-to-back Final Four runs in 2023 and 2024, Kate didn't need to drop 30 to matter. Her presence, her calm leadership, her defense, her ability to steady the team in big moments, that was her contribution. The team knew it. The fans knew it. Caitlin definitely knew it. So when the WNBA came calling, it felt like the next logical chapter. A new challenge, a chance to prove herself on the biggest stage. She got drafted by the Las Vegas Aces, defending champs, loaded with talent, and run by a franchise that looked unstoppable on paper. But once she arrived, everything started to feel off. Despite her success in college and her reputation as a natural leader, Kate struggled to find her footing in Vegas. Not because she wasn't putting in the work, not because she didn't belong, but because she barely had the chance to show she belonged. Minutes were scarce. Opportunities were even scarcer. The Aces already had an established system, a roster full of big names, a culture built around a certain hierarchy. And Kate, she was a new kid with no room to breathe. The message was clear. Stay in your lane. Don't disrupt the rhythm. Wait your turn. Problem is, sometimes your turn never comes. Even with all her intangibles, leadership, court vision, work ethic, she was getting lost in the shuffle. Her voice, once vital and heard at Iowa, felt drowned out by the noise of a machine that didn't really need her input. Or worse, didn't want it. It wasn't that she failed. She just wasn't used. And that's the cruel irony of professional sports. Sometimes it's not about how good you are, it's about where you land. The system, the fit, the culture, all of it matters. And Kate was suffocating. Then came a phone call. Caitlin Clark, fresh off her own whirlwind journey into the WNBA, saw what was happening. She knew what Kate was capable of. She'd seen it every day in practice, felt it during those late-game huddles, relied on it during those high-pressure tournament runs. She didn't need to guess. She knew Kate wasn't the problem. So she said it out loud. That call was a wake-up call. A reminder that it wasn't about effort or ability. It was about environment, about being in a system that recognized your worth and actually let you contribute. And just like that, the decision became obvious. Kate had to leave Vegas, enter the Golden State Valkyries. A new team, a new culture, a franchise that was still being built from the ground up, with a philosophy that couldn't be more different from Vegas. This wasn't a top-heavy team stacked with stars and rigid roles. This was a system built on connection, effort, unselfishness, a team where everyone mattered. Suddenly, Kate wasn't a question mark. She was a cornerstone. In Golden State, her skill set wasn't just accepted, it was needed. Her leadership, her ability to make others better, her quiet confidence, all of it had value here. She wasn't fighting for crumbs. She was part of the blueprint. And the difference? Immediate. She started contributing, building chemistry, finding her voice again, not by dominating the box score, but by doing what she's always done, leading by example, showing up consistently, and making her teammates better. Her confidence? Back. Her love for the game? Restored. The same player who was sidelined and overlooked in Vegas was now helping shape an entirely new franchise identity in Golden State. Because when you're in the right environment, it doesn't feel like you're forcing anything. It clicks. And that's the real takeaway from Kate Martin's story. This isn't about drama or beef with Aya Wilson or the Aces. It's about fit. It's about being stuck in a situation that doesn't serve you and having the clarity and courage to walk away from it. It's also a reminder that no amount of talent can overcome the wrong system. You can be the hardest worker in the gym, the smartest player on the court, the most supportive teammate, and still fall flat if your environment refuses to see your value. Sometimes, the boldest move isn't charging forward. It's stepping away. And in Kate's case, that step away was a declaration. She wasn't going to be a bench warmer in someone else's dynasty. She was going to build something new, something where she mattered. And it worked. Golden State gave her the platform, the space to lead, to grow, to be herself. And that's all she ever needed. Now she's part of a team that plays for each other, not just for highlight reels. A team that actually values the things she brings to the table. Her journey, from Iowa star to frustrated rookie to franchise leader, isn't a fairy tale. It's not about sudden fame or viral moments. It's about persistence, awareness, and knowing when to say, this isn't it. Sometimes, the turning point in a career isn't a game-winning shot or a breakout performance. Sometimes, it's a phone call from someone who remembers who you are. Caitlin Clark saw what the system in Vegas was doing to Kate, and she said something. She reminded Kate that she had options, that she didn't have to shrink just to fit in, that she could leave. And Kate did. Now she's not just playing again. She's thriving, not because her talent magically changed, but because her environment did. Her story is proof that success in professional sports isn't just about talent. It's about alignment, the right coaches, the right teammates, the right fit. So many players have potential that goes untapped, not because they're lacking, but because no one bothered to look. Kate Martin refused to let that be her story. She found a new home, and in doing so, found herself again. Let's be real. Not every athlete gets a second chance. Not everyone gets to rewrite the narrative. But Kate did. And all it took was the right team, a little belief, and one very important phone call. If you've been following her journey from Iowa to Vegas to Golden State, you know this isn't just a comeback. It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest win is knowing when to leave the wrong game entirely. Let us know what you think. Was Vegas the wrong fit from the start? Is Golden State the redemption arc Kate deserved all along? Drop a comment. Hit like if you're rooting for a comeback. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories just like this. Because sometimes the real drama isn't what happens on the court. It's what happens around it. Kate Martin didn't just switch teams. She took control of a situation that was slowly erasing her. And if you know anything about pro sports, that's not just rare, it's bold. Most rookies in the WNBA, especially ones who aren't lottery picks, don't get to call the shots. They get drafted, they show up, and they try to prove themselves in systems that often never planned for them in the first place. That was Kate in Vegas. Let's not sugarcoat it. The Las Vegas Aces are a juggernaut, stacked roster, championship culture, and a coaching staff that already knows exactly who's getting the ball, who's getting the minutes, and who's filling in the blanks. Kate wasn't brought in to be a centerpiece. She was brought in to fit in, quietly, conveniently. And for someone like her, someone who thrives on connection, who leads by example, who understands the nuance of team chemistry, being reduced to a role player with no voice, that hits different. That's not just frustrating. It's disorienting. She came from a program at Iowa where she was essential, not in the top score way, but in the if she's off, we're off kind of way. She was the emotional core, the steady hand. And while Caitlin Clark may have been headline, Kate Martin was a balance. So to go from that to sitting at the end of the bench, hoping for a few garbage time minutes in a blowout, that's not just a change in scenery. That's a full identity crisis. And still, she didn't cause a scene. She didn't go to the media. She didn't vent on social. She stayed professional. She put in the work. But behind the scenes, you know that had to eat at her. Because no matter how tough you are, feeling invisible hurts. Which brings us back to that phone call. Because sometimes it takes someone else to see what you can't. And Caitlin Clark? She saw it. She saw the spark dimming in Kate. She recognized the toll Vegas was taking. Not just on her playing time, but on her spirit. That's the part people miss. This isn't just about minutes and stats. It's about identity. When you're used to being a connector, a communicator, a leader, and suddenly you're on a team that doesn't give you room to be any of those things, that chips away at you. And that's what Caitlin reminded her of, who she is, what she's capable of, and why she deserved better than to just wait her turn in a system that didn't value her voice. So Kate made the scariest move of all in pro sports. She left the defending champs, left the glitz and glam of Las Vegas, left the safety net of a franchise that was guaranteed to win games, but not guaranteed to help her grow. And where did she go? To a franchise that didn't even exist a year ago. Let that sink in. Kate didn't just walk away from a secure situation. She walked toward something brand new. The Golden State Valkyries weren't offering stability. They were offering opportunity. And for a player like Kate, that was worth everything. Because in Golden State, she wasn't being asked to blend in. She was being asked to build. And this is where it gets poetic. A player who spent a rookie season feeling like a ghost in the machine is now a foundational piece of a brand new franchise. That's not just poetic justice. That's a full circle moment. In Golden State, the culture is different. It's not about hierarchy. It's about harmony. It's not about play behind superstars. It's about building a team where everyone matters. That's the world Kate Martin was meant for. And you can see it in how she plays now. She's more confident, more vocal, more present. She's no longer waiting to be given permission to lead. She's just doing it. And the franchise is better for it. There's a reason the Valkyries sought her out. They didn't need another scorer. They needed someone who gets it. Someone who brings the intangibles. Who leads by action, not just volume. Someone who knows what it takes to build chemistry from the ground up. Kate Martin is that person. And now, she's finally in a place that sees her. That's the real win here. Not the minutes or the stats or the W's, though those will come. The win is the validation. The knowledge that what she brings to a team actually matters. That all the things Vegas didn't make space for are central to the Valkyries' identity. And let's not gloss over this. Her exit from Aces? That was necessary. Not because she wasn't good enough, but because she was too good to be ignored, too valuable to be shelved, and too self-aware to stay somewhere that didn't fit. Her story is a lesson for every athlete stuck in the wrong system. You don't have to stay just because it's the big team or the winning culture. If it's draining you, if it's dimming your light, if it's shrinking your game, you have every right to walk. In fact, you should. Kate Martin isn't just surviving in Golden State. She's growing, rebuilding, thriving, and she's doing it not by changing who she is, but by finding a place that finally wants who she is. There's something powerful about that, about saying, no, I'm not broken. This just isn't the place for me. And then proving it. The WNBA is a tough league. Not every player gets their second chapter, especially not rookies who enter on the margins. But Kate Martin, she made her own chapter. She flipped the script. And now, instead of riding the bench behind a championship roster, she's helping write the identity of a brand new franchise. That's not just a comeback. That's a statement. So if you're watching from the outside, take note. This is what it looks like when a player bets on themselves and wins. Let's not pretend this kind of story happens all the time. It doesn't. What Kate Martin pulled off, quietly exiting one of the most dominant franchises in women's basketball, then stepping into a leadership role on a brand new team, isn't just rare, it's nearly unheard of, because most players in her position, they just keep their heads down, hope for a few more minutes, pray for a coaching change or an injury that suddenly puts them in the rotation. But Kate, she didn't wait for permission. She left. That takes guts, especially when you're a second-round pick. Especially when you're not being hyped by media outlets 24/7. Especially when you know the risk of walking away from a championship-caliber team could mean the end of your professional career. But the fact that she took that risk anyway, that says everything about her self-awareness and her unwillingness to disappear into the background. The truth is, Vegas never planned for Kate to be part of the core. And again, that's not a diss. That's just the reality of professional basketball. The Aces were built to win now, with stars like Aya Wilson, Chelsea Gray, and Kelsey Plum driving the ship. There was no time or interest in developing a rookie into a meaningful contributor unless it was absolutely necessary. So Kate showed up ready to compete, ready to contribute, and the opportunity just never came. She wasn't outplayed. She was outprioritized. That's a hard pill to swallow for any athlete, but especially for someone like Kate, who had just spent years being essential. Her presence at Iowa was more than tactical. It was cultural. She brought the leadership, the calm, the connectivity. And while Caitlin Clark lit the match every game, Kate was the one carrying the water. But in Vegas, that didn't matter. The machine kept moving. The team kept winning. And Kate, she kept sitting. And honestly, it could have ended there. She could have stayed, played it safe, cashed a paycheck, rode the bench, told herself that maybe next year things would be different. But that's not who she is. Kate Martin is a builder, a connector, a leader. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice or the top scorer. She just needs to be in the room, actually in it, with a seat at the table, a chance to contribute, and the trust of her teammates and coaches. Vegas never offered her that. Golden State did. And what's wild is how quickly she made herself indispensable in that new setting. This wasn't some slow climb back to relevance. This was immediate impact, not by dominating games or putting up double-doubles, but by doing what she's always done, making everything around her better. You can't measure that in a stat sheet, but you can feel it. And the Valkyries, they felt it right away. Kate Martin gave them credibility. She brought a culture of accountability, a voice of experience, a presence that said, this is how we work, this is how we win. And that's what makes her story so satisfying. Not just that she found a new team, but that she walked into a locker room full of question marks and became one of the answers. Think about what that means. A player who was overlooked, underutilized, and essentially frozen out of the rotation in Vegas is now helping shape the identity of an expansion team. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when you put the right person in the right environment. Because that's the moral of the story, right? Talent needs the right context. You could be the most capable player in the world, but if you're in a system that doesn't value your strengths, doesn't understand your game, or doesn't give you space to grow, you're toast. Kate didn't magically get better between Vegas and Golden State. She was always this good. The difference now is she's being seen. And the thing is, her journey isn't just a win for her. It's a blueprint, a quiet revolution, a reminder to every rookie who's being buried on the bench or treated like an afterthought that you're allowed to choose yourself. Too often, athletes feel like they have to wait for someone else to see their worth. Kate Martin didn't wait. She walked away from the noise, the lights, the dynasty, and found a team that actually wanted what she brings to the table. And the payoff? She's not just surviving in the league. She's thriving. On her terms. That shift from surviving to thriving, that's everything. That's the dream. Because no one wants to be just another jersey on the bench. You want to matter. You want to play, yes, but more than that, you want to belong. And in Golden State, she does. Let's be real. The Valkyries are still finding their identity. They're not expected to win a title tomorrow, but what they are building is something sustainable, something smart. And Kate is right at the center of that. Not just playing minutes, but helping define the culture. She's building chemistry, making the extra pass, holding teammates accountable, leading without demanding the spotlight. And in a franchise that values collaboration, effort, and unselfishness, that kind of leadership is the spotlight. It's the kind of contribution that doesn't make headlines, but wins games, over time, consistently and quietly. So when we talk about reinvention, this is what we mean. Kate didn't change who she was. She just refused to let her identity be erased by the wrong system. She believed in her value enough to leave a safe situation, and she believed in her vision enough to join a team that was still finding its way. And that takes more than just confidence. That takes resilience. Because there's no guarantee when you leave a team like Vegas. You could land in another system that's just as rigid. You could fall out of the league entirely. But Kate took the leap anyway, because she knew what was at stake. Her confidence, her joy, her entire career trajectory. And now, here we are. She's not just rebuilding her career. She's rebuilding her purpose. This isn't a redemption arc where someone failed and made a comeback. This is a story about someone who was never given a chance to succeed and finally found a place where she could. It's a slow burn, a quieter kind of victory. But it's one of the most satisfying stories in the WNBA right now, because it proves that the right system can unlock potential that would otherwise stay hidden. Kate Martin isn't flashy. She's not going viral for half-court shots, but what she brings is irreplaceable. And now, finally, she's on a team that gets that. If you're paying attention, this is where the real evolution in the league is happening. Not just in the highlight reels, but in the stories like Kate's, where players carve out space, reclaim their narrative, and turn frustration into fuel. So here's to the ones who walk away, to the ones who trust their gut, to the ones who know that fit matters. Because sometimes you don't need to change yourself. You just need to change your surroundings. And Kate Martin, she did just that. Let's keep the conversation going. Are we finally seeing WNBA teams get smarter about fit over flash? Is Kate the poster child for player empowerment in this next era? Drop a comment, share this with your crew, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more to talk about, and you don't want to miss what comes next.